Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the press conference to inform you about the Eurogroup meeting we had this morning. I'd like to debrief you of that meeting. We welcomed Reza Moghadam from the IMF, as well as Rimantas Satsius, Finance Minister of Lithuania, as well as ECOFIN President, of course. He attended our meeting when we discussed the banking union. I'll come back to that later on. I will start with this economic situation in the Eurozone, then go into the situation in Cyprus, Portugal and Slovenia, which we discussed, and finally say a few words about the banking union. On the economic situation, we discussed the latest developments in the euro area, which, as you know, have been fairly positive. GDP increased by 0.3% from the first to the second quarter this year, and in August the economic sentiment indicator increased, almost reaching a two-year high. After having climbed in the last 2 years, the unemployment rate in the euro area has now stabilized since March at around 12%, which is of course still too high. It's too early, therefore, to be complacent. We need to carry on with all our policies with resolve, and that's what we're going to do, in particular with strong priority the banking union, but also the closer coordination of our budget policies. In this context, I intend to convene an additional Eurogroup on the 22nd of November to discuss, for the first time, the Commission's assessment of the country's draft budgetary plans. So in November we'll meet twice. On Portugal, we briefly discussed the situation in Portugal, where there are also positive signs both on the economic and on the political front. We welcomed the above euro area average GDP growth in the second quarter in Portugal and the reaffirmation of the political consensus within the coalition supporting the program in the new coalition agreement. In this regard, we were again reassured by our colleague Maria Luís Albuquerque that the government is fully committed to the program. A rigorous implementation of the agreed policy conditionalities will ensure a long-lasting economic recovery. We intend to discuss the main findings of the merged 8th and 9th review mission that will go to Lisbon next week, and we will discuss their main findings at our next meeting on the 14th of October. We discussed the first preview of the Cypriot program. We've put out a statement which hopefully you already have or you will have after this press conference. I won't repeat all of it that was in the statement, but just to highlight some of the points. Progress has been made over the summer, including the exit of the Bank of Cyprus from the resolution process. A roadmap has been agreed for the gradual relaxation and eventual abolishment of the administrative measures regarding capital flows. Policy implementation, of course, remains essential for the success of the program, as the economic outlook remains uncertain. We look forward to the implementation of the anti-money laundering action plan, and the 1.5 billion euro, this is the second disbursement, will be disbursed by the ESM following the completion of this review and the formal approval in the ESM governing bodies. We also discussed briefly the state of play in Slovenia. Asset quality reviews and stress tests are ongoing for 10 banks, including the major ones, and are expected to be completed by the end of November. 2 banks, the Slovenian government has already started the orderly winding down process for 2 smaller banks last Friday. And we stress the importance for the Slovenian government to work with and seek the cooperation and assistance of the ECB and the European Commission in the process of dealing with the problems in the financial sector. Finally, we talked about the banking union. Not in depth, we didn't go into great substance at this moment. We were informed by the ECB on their preparations of the SSM, especially regarding the balance sheet assessments of the banks, which the ECB will start up very soon. Jörg Asmussen will say more about that. And we all stress the importance of doing that in a very rigorous and transparent way to strengthen our banks, which is of a great importance for economic recovery. We looked ahead of the agenda over the next couple of months, and also, of course, the cooperation between Eurogroup and ECOFIN, the main issues, of course, being discussed in ECOFIN. And we look forward to strengthening our cooperation. We welcome the final adaptation of the regulations for the establishment of the SSM, the single supervisory mechanism, by the European Parliament yesterday. And this will allow the ECB to formalize the preparations of their work as a supervisor. We had a first exchange of views regarding the appropriate arrangements to be made ahead of this, the completion of this exercise as mandated by the June European Council. We will come back to the issue of public backstops over the next couple of months and discuss it in detail in our planning for November. We hope there will be also a swift agreement with the European Parliament on the Bank Resolution and Recovery Directive, the BRRD, after which we can then again in the Eurogroup finalize the operational framework for the ESM direct recap instrument. So work on all the legs of the banking union is on track. The single resolution mechanism will be discussed mainly in ECOFIN, but over the next couple of months also a number of details which touch upon the Eurogroup interest will be discussed in the Eurogroup. I would just like to end with a word of gratitude to Rimantas and all his colleagues at the ministry here in Lithuania and the central bank for hosting the Eurogroup today. Olli, can I ask you to fill in from your point?